Well, spring is in full swing and the summer is just around the corner. And of course that means a lot of time that we'll be spending with our families, a lot of vacation time, a lot of sports activities, those types of things. And of course what I'm trying to say is that it won't be too long before we'll get behind in our garden right off the very bat. So let me give you a few pointers for the month of May on things to remind you what to do in the landscape, the lawn, and also in your orchard and vegetable garden. So we'll give you a listing, and again, you may want to take some notes on these because it will remind you of things to prepare for in the next few weeks. Well, first of all, in the landscape, spring and summer brings along our favorite time of gardening, but it also means a lot of insect problems. So I want to give you an insect alert right off the bat because remember, the first time you notice them, it's a lot easier to hand pick them and get rid of them that way. We're already starting to see things like aphids though on some of our irises and arbovitas, and really you'll be seeing them just about on everything. It doesn't take them long to get high populations both in ornamentals, flowers, and some of your perennials. And just as a reminder to catch them early, but there's some organic things that you can use like insecticidal soap, plus a new product we talked about earlier called neem, and then as a last resort, you might need to use diazinon or malathion under high populations. And with the warm temperatures ahead, spider mite populations will be building up very rapidly. And also you can use organic type controls, soaps and oils, and also again diazinon and malathion. And it seems like bagworms always catch people when they're in their mature stage. It won't be too many days now that you'll start seeing the very small bagworms start to develop. And at that point, the Bacillus thuringiensis products, or BT products, again, are your botanicals that you need to be using to try to control those. And again, that's considered organic. In addition, there's 7-diazinon and malathion again. And if you've noticed driving around the country, we've already had some of the tent caterpillars starting to show up in the different crotches and branch angles of the trees. We've already got one in our cherry tree here in the orchard. But the webworms will soon be following, and again, the BT is a good product to get those early on before they start defoliating your trees. And also in the landscape, the roses are leafing out and starting to bloom, and that means black spot and powdery mildew disease. And so you need to get out those fungicides, and unfortunately, if you keep the controls with the leaves cleaned up and everything, you're still going to have some problems because of our humidity. So you may want to try some of the trifarine products or Captan or Manib. And our azaleas have just finished with a nice spring bloom, and now's the time to prune the azaleas if you have any, because they'll be setting flower buds for next spring starting in June and July. So go ahead and try to prune those now if you need to do so. And in the lawn, if you haven't fertilized your cool season grasses yet, it's still not too late to go ahead and do so. And on the warm season grasses like Bermuda, you need to wait for those to start to green up and actively grow before you put that first application of fertilizer on. And remember, we encourage you to do a soil test so you're not just guessing and wasting money. And the recommended rate is usually about a pound of actual nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. And if you're going to try some of the organic fertilizers, usually we encourage you to put on about a ½ pound per 1,000 square feet. In the orchard, we told you about collecting graft wood. Well, you can finish up your bark grafting, especially on the pecans. It's also the time to initiate fertilization on your fruit trees and grapes and small fruits. And because our orchard is surrounded by fescue, which we've already fertilized, we won't be fertilizing the fruit trees separately because we feel like they get plenty as a result of the fescue. And I don't know about you, but we only ended up with 4 peaches on our peach tree. But if you were more successful than us, you may want to go ahead and try to thin some of those out so you can get your larger fruit. And that's always a hard thing to do, but that also should be done in the next few weeks. And then in the vegetable garden, it's the perfect time to plant the warmer season crops like watermelons and okra that like the hotter temperatures. And again, don't forget to look out for such insects like asparagus beetle that are starting on the asparagus ferns, and cucumber beetles, and the moths that are showing up on the broccoli and cabbage plants, because those are starting to show up And again, catch them early, and there's a lot of good organic products out there that you can find, as well as some of the other safe botanicals too. Well, before we leave you today, I want to thank all of our garden friends that showed up a couple of weeks ago for the first OBGA Spring Garden Show here in Stillwater. We met a lot of great friends and took them on the tour of the Arboretum and our studio gardens, had a lot of fun, answered a lot of questions, and they actually got to see where we film Oklahoma Gardening live. So we had a lot of fun with that, and we hope that we'll be able to do that again in the future, and we'll keep you abreast of that as well. Well, we're all out of time today, but be sure to join us again next weekend here on Oklahoma Gardening.